What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another Dragon Quest of the Stars video. We're going to be talking about the new banner that just came out today, but there's also going to be a bit of a delay on new content because there's the COVID pandemic is affecting the developers' ability to kind of put the game together. So I know some people are thinking like, well, all the events already exist because they're in the Japan version, but things have to be translated, things have to be shifted around, they might not be doing it in the same order. There are things that have to be done. So, this is obviously more important to take care of people's health than it is to get us updates for this game. So I'm totally understanding of that. It also does help me catch up a little bit because I've been playing so much War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius that I need to fully catch up on the story and keep leveling my guys. So that being said, we are going to take a look at the banner that came out today, and it's going to be our only banner for a while, so you're going to get the lucky chest pull on this, and you're just basically going to get to pull from this if you want to pull from something, but you might not necessarily want to. If you watch my last video, you'll know that I spent all my gems on the last banner, so I'm pretty much tapped for a while. So this is the Zenithian Equipment and Archangel series banner, and it's got a bunch of really cool looking equipment. You've got the Zenithian sword, helm, armor top, bottom, and shield, and then we've got a bunch of Archangel weapons. The Archangel's axe is the coolest looking one, and that's the one that I want to get if possible. There's the Archangel's hammer, which is also pretty rad. The Archangel's spear, the rod, and the boomerang, and let's face it, these all look incredible. So even if this wasn't something long-term that you had, it would almost be worth it as a glamour because they just look so good. But let's take a look at what the actual details of this banner are. So if we go back to the top here, we've got the Zenithian sword, and this is a Butte. So it's got two support skills, both A slot on there, and then a B and a C. It's got good max power, effective against dragons. A lot of these swords seem to be this, obviously the theme there is the final bosses of Dragon Quest games or dragons. So looking at the abilities, we have Giga Sword, which is a 320% potency zap type attack, has a 25% chance of lowering their zap resistance. And I don't know how long that lasts for, but if you're able to use this again, then it's going to do even more damage. Or if you have a Sage that has a zap based attack and you can follow up with that, then this would be a pretty cool combo. And it also is just a powerful skill. Then we have Zenithian Wave, which removes all beneficial effects from the enemy, and that targets all your enemies. So if a boss goes into rage, if they're using any sort of boosts, this would have been super useful during the monster event when all the monster bosses at the second highest level, I think, and then maybe the highest level, they had all these mobs that were putting on buffs onto the main boss, and it was super annoying to deal with. So this would just wipe all of those. So this is a pretty cool utility skill, and you don't have to worry that you're suffering from losing skill slots because they give you 2 attack slots, one at a B and one at a C. And if you were to evolve this, you would actually get a healing slot and then get up to A on everything else for this sword. The Zenithian shield is pretty neat. It's got Sky Dragon's protection, which reduces damage taken by 50% for 3 turns and heals a user's HP by 60 with every single action. So we already saw this with Phoenix Shield or whatever it was called. It had the Phoenix, but it actually healed, I think, up to 3 times, but it was slightly less each time. So this is pretty nice. Healing 120 is just from defending is not a bad way to go at all, and it also has breath damage down, which obviously is a pretty relevant skill, as we always say. The Zenithian helm has support ability tricks low, so this will reduce the skill gauge by 5%, and that's actually really good because this pairs with the sword. The sword has a bunch of support skills, the 2 main skills it comes with, and this is going to let you cast them faster, which is really good if you reduce their zap defense and then use the skill again, you can do more damage, so this will help you get to that point. And then also critical rate plus, and that's really good. Plus 3%, like that's not a bad stat. So I really like this helm. So far we're 3 for 3. These are good items. The shield you might not need to pull for because you already have stuff that you've pulled on other banners, or if you're like me and you have a hard time pulling shields, then you know seeing any sort of 5-star shield is a great thing. So we've got this Zenithian armor top, which has fire breath damage down mid, which can go all the way up to 30%, which is pretty good, but more of a tech choice. And then it has HP plus mid, so max 15 HP. So while this is always going to be a good piece of armor in terms of the defense that it provides, it's not anything special. So this isn't a particularly important piece. Of course, all this featured gear is always really good against the event bosses, but past that, then this armor is probably the first big miss of this banner. Next, we have the armor bottom, which is ice breath down mid and strength plus mid. So again, like not terrible stats, not a bad piece of equipment, but it's just nothing special compared to the last two banners where everything had like sporadic CT growth and like all these huge skills that they were giving you. These pieces of equipment are not as good. Next up, we have a whole series of weapons, and they're all going to have the same support skill, which is the Angel's Breath. So we'll talk about that here, but we'll also just look at the main skills they come with. So this is Archangel's Axe, and obviously it's got an okay max power there. Arc Slash is a 300% potency attack with a 50% chance of stunning the enemy, and it's a single enemy attack, and it can go up to 450 and 75%. That's huge. So that's pretty good. I would like to use that. And then Angel's Breath is, it just slightly heals your HP, and it heals 20 HP with every action, activates 4 times, and it works on any ally, so that's actually kind of neat. So when I first saw this, I didn't like it very much because healing 20 every action, 80 total, it's not always going to be, like that's going to a long spread. Like when you need to heal, oftentimes you need to heal right away, but this might stop your HP from being low in the first place when you get hit with a big attack. But now that I'm reading that you can use that on any ally and it also heals right when you use it, then this is actually pretty neat. And it's actually kind of cool to have a heal on any character, so that when you go into content, just everybody has a little bit of a heal. And some of your other weapons, they're not even going to have 4 slots, let alone a B and a C available. So it's not like you're taking away a valuable skill slot here. This is going to be a pretty good piece of equipment. So if you evolve it, you actually do get a healing slot as well, or a support slot, and then you can just rank up all your slots. The Archangel's Hammer has Angel's Breath as well, as the last weapon did. They're all going to have that, and they're all going to have an arc skill that will do some sort of a debuff. So this one is a 220% potency attack with a 50% chance of confusing the enemy, and this targets all enemies, and you know me, I love these, but it has a 75% chance once you upgrade it of confusing all enemies. So this is really neat because it can just put a wide debuff on all the enemies, and I think that's pretty useful. Next up, and we'll quickly take a look at the Evolve. So these are all like kind of weird utility weapons in that they get a lot of different slots, because you're obviously going to be using these on your not on your casters, but on your attackers, and it's weird to think that they would have support spells. So it's kind of an interesting set of weapons. Alright, so the next one is Archangel's Spear, which has Arc Thrust. And that is a 300% potency attack with a 25% chance of causing instant KO single enemy. Obviously this gets quite strong, 450% and a 50% chance of causing instant KO. I wonder what the resistance to instant KO is on bosses or events, or I'm assuming it doesn't work on bosses, but if it clears out like the bosses on the way to a big boss, then that's actually pretty useful. So I like this spear. Also has the Angel's Breath, and this has a little more support for some healing and some buffing. So this could actually be a neat paladin weapon, and they can do a little bit of healing, a little bit of defending, and then they've got that big attack that they can use. All right, we got 2 more. So we have the Archangel's Rod, and this has Arc Crush, which is 100% potency, 3-hit attack with a 25% chance to inflict blind, and it's a random enemy. So these are kind of tricky. It goes up to 150%, which is it's doing like better than your regular attack 3 times to some enemies. So it's a fine skill to use. The randomly hitting blind is kind of neat too, but it's not like a super powerful skill, and it's not a dependable skill. You also get Angel's Breath, which is nice, and then this is one that you could possibly use on a spellcaster, depending on if you evolved it, but I mean most likely not, just because if you'd have to upgrade it quite a bit to get to your healing slot there, or your support slot. But maybe like an armamentalist. I don't actually even know if they can equip rods because I don't have one, but if they could, then maybe this is a weapon for them, since they like to have 1 spell for their magic flurry. Okay, finally we have Archangel's Boomerang, which is a nice power boomerang, and it's got Arc Cutter, which is a 300% potency attack with 25% chance of toppling the enemy, target all enemies, and it gets up to 450 and 50% chance. I love this skill. Very strong AoE for a boomerang, and toppling enemies is good as well. You got your Angel Breath, you've got your support spell, and you'll get a second support spell. So that's kind of neat as well. If you were going to put this on a healer, or maybe something like a superstar, then that could be all right. Awesome. And then at this point, you're just going to have all your regular filler, all your stuff that you can get in all the other banners. And it's all fine, but it's never as strong as the featured equipment. So, taking a look at this banner, I don't think that it's as necessary to pull on. There are some really cool things, like these Archangel weapons. They're kind of neat support weapons. Like, they might be something that would be good to have handy for certain fights, but they wouldn't be your main weapon because they just don't have as much attacking slots. But this sword is pretty good. The helm was pretty good, and the shield was fine. This banner is just not quite as strong as the last 2 banners. So if you roll in those, that's great. I was kind of thinking, oh no, they just put these 2 juicy banners out, then they're going to drop like a really nice one now. But I feel pretty good that I used my gems in the last 2. And if you want to use this possible extended break from content after this specific event to just save up for a while, then that's probably a good call. And this is, I think, a banner you can skip. Although they did get us on how cool all of the gear looks, because I do really want some of those Archangel weapons just because of how cool they look. But let me know what you think, if you think this banner is any good, or if you're going to pull on it, and we'll talk in the comments below. See you next time. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can check out my articles at themysidiapost.com and support my Patreon at patreon.com/themysidiapost. Until next time, keep it real, Mysidians.